Facebook for our 10th episode. Thank you for joining us. We will be able to see your comments pop up in the comment section today, so give us a like, give us a thumbs up if you want to contribute to the conversation or you just want to support us. Throw us a comment down there. We'd love to see it, and we will be responding to them live as we see them pop up. We're trying this, it's something new today, so let us know what you think.
Yeah, so this is our 10th episode. My name is Fahad Shatari. I'm joined by Shannon Gibson and George Bogdan, and we are doing episode 10 of GeekdomMovies. We're doing reviews for Rambo, Hustlers, and we did do a short non-spoiler review, which is up on the YouTube channel and our website as well. We are going to go full depth into Astra spoiler review as well.
Yes, there's a lot to talk about there.
Yeah. So we're really excited. I know it's been a while since we've done a full episode. September's a weird month because you don't get a lot of good movies. It's the end of the summer season. So we decided to take a couple weeks off and just do our short reviews. But things are slowly, again, picking up now. We got Joker coming out in a few weeks. We got
Frozen 2
in November. There's so many good movies. Judy Garland movies coming out with Renee Zellweger. Ford versus Ferrari. So we're definitely going to be...
War.
Oh my gosh, current
yes,
war. Gosh, so many movies. And Star Wars. Star Wars comes out in December, which is going to be huge. We're going to have Shannon watch the last 2 Star Wars movies so she can do the live, we can go do an Exit the Theater review for the next Star Wars movies. So just look for the new season. Things are changing quickly and fastly, but also picking up as well. And yeah, let's get into our first review. But before that, Shannon, do you want to tell us them about Patreon and all that other stuff that you do that you're good at?
All right, so we are going to post a link later on down on Facebook, and also when this video goes up on YouTube, there'll be a link in the description. We do have a Patreon page, and the only way that we can continue to do what we do is if you guys support us. So if you can throw us $2, $5 a month, whatever it is, pocket change, a couple people support us like that. It will allow us to continue doing these reviews and getting these out to you so that you can decide what movies you want to see and you can join in the discussion with us. So patreon.com is it /GeekdomMovies /GeekdomMovies. All right.
So our first review is the big action movie. What is this, the 6th movie for Rambo? 5th? I don't even know.
5th. I've never seen a Rambo movie.
I've only seen the first one. I've never seen the sequels because everybody talks about how great the first one is. But you've seen the other Rambo movies, right, George?
Well, I've seen the first one.
Okay.
The last one, I guess you could say, and the new one.
So me and Shannon didn't get a chance to watch Rambo, but you did. Tell us about what you thought of Rambo. Not spoiler first.
Of course. So, honestly, I thought it was really good. It brought up a couple issues, I believe, that are going on these days.
Okay.
And it really kind of brought those to life. It was really action packed.
Okay.
Much better cinematography. Sorry. And,
you're almost there.
Yeah. So it was much better than the earlier Rambo movies.
Okay.
There were a lot of points where the cameras, the way they set them up, I was expecting something to just jump out. Maybe it's because I've seen too many horror movies recently.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow, really?
Yeah. So
I thought it was an action, but
we
not
did
horror.
send them to Midsummer and Scary Stories to tell in the dark.
Yeah, we did do a lot of horror movies recently. So just some of the camera shots, they were zoomed in, and so I was expecting something to jump out from behind them or something like that.
Oh, wow.
So that kept me on the edge of my seat simply because of those shots.
Yeah.
But it was really good with action. The story was actually much better. The acting, Sylvester Stallone has improved over the years.
Is he gotten to the point where he's kind of sold into the character of being Rambo? He understands it enough to he is just do you see Sylvester Stallone or do you see the character Rambo on screen at this point?
At this point, he actually seems more social than he was as Rambo.
Oh, really?
Strangely enough, yes.
More social?
More social.
So,
because he's dealing now with his family in this.
Yeah, I was gonna say the first movie was PTSD a lot, and him trying to come back from Vietnam, I think, and he just saw the horrors of war and he was kind of out of his mind. I've only seen the first one, so that's my only literal reaction to Rambo is just that and that alone.
Mm.
You're saying that Rambo is now a character that's grown and become more social and has had a family, and he's not struggling with PTSD stuff. Is that what you're saying, George?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what is the plot of the new Rambo movie? I saw a house and a girl and some people invading a house. So I was kind of confused as to what is the plot of this movie without any spoilers.
Without spoilers.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see. So, how do you do a plot without spoilers?
You just talk about. I mean, like, did you see the trailers? I just saw the trailers.
Yeah, I saw the trailers.
A girl, like a teenage girl.
Yeah, that's his niece in these.
That's his niece, not his daughter. Okay.
No.
His niece's name is a niece.
No.
I thought you said his
Good one.
niece's name was a niece.
No. No, but yeah, that's his niece, and she's like just finishing up with high school.
Okay.
Graduating, and about ready to head off to college. You know, she's hanging out with friends, and things kind of go bad. You know, because she tries to sort of delve into her past.
Okay.
And to her father, and that ends up just some of her friends and her father, like the fact of where her father is.
Yeah.
It's a bad area.
Okay.
And her friend that was in that area, it gets very messy.
Wow.
Let's
okay.
just put it that way.
Okay.
Because
So
I'm trying not to spoil it here.
So he's in a bad area.
Yeah.
And he has to protect his niece.
Yeah.
And so they're bad guys.
Yes.
Who are trying to do something.
Rambo actually doesn't find out till like a little bit after the fact of where she is, because she didn't tell him about that. But I think that's about as far as I can get without spoilers.
Okay. Cool. Okay, so let's get into the spoilers. Tell us what is it about this movie, and now you can speak spoilers. I'm gonna have questions for you. What is Sylvester Stallone's character trying to do in this movie? Like, what is his end goal?
His end goal is at first to try to protect his niece, of course. He tries to head down there to find out. Okay, because basically what I try to keep this out of the spoiler, out of the non-spoiler side.
Yeah.
So what happens is his niece is trying to find her dad.
Okay.
Because she wants to find out why she left. Why he left.
Okay.
Her and her mom.
Okay.
So she goes to find him. One of her friends from her childhood lets her know that she found him down in Mexico.
So she's in Mexico.
So yes, so she goes down to Mexico.
Okay.
Crosses over the border, goes and finds her dad and asks him. Well, he says basically he just stopped caring for them.
Wow.
And that was it.
That button popped out,
but
I get another flag by the YouTube people just for that button popping. Sorry, we had an issue recently with our Ad Astra review. Somebody flagged us as inappropriate.
You really got to start wearing clothes in these reviews.
So that's the joke, if you're wondering what I was talking about. Anyways, keep going, George. Sorry.
Okay, so basically, she goes down there. She finds out that her dad just didn't care about him, and that was it. So of course she's feeling really vulnerable at the time. Her friend's like, "Hey, why don't we just go to the club and hang out?" And our friend had just been on the phone with somebody.
Okay, you're going too detail. Like, what is it? What happens? Like, in
what happens? So she goes to the club. She gets drugged.
Okay.
She gets dragged off. Starts
by the cartel.
Human trafficking.
Okay.
And so
are they a cartel? What are they?
They are pretty. Yeah, they're cartel of a sort.
Okay. And they're looking for pretty white Americans, pretty white girls.
No, she is actually Hispanic.
So she's just a pretty girl.
Yep.
Who is in this Mexican place where she gets drugged, kidnapped by these traffickers in Mexico.
Yep. And then of course Rambo heads down there.
Now, does that happen immediately, or does that happen like a year to a few weeks?
Day.
In a day. So he's
as
packing
soon
up
as
his
he
truck.
Finds out. Yeah.
So does he get a phone call from like the niece's mom or something? Like, what happens?
No, he actually gets a phone call from the friend, who basically she's trying to sort of defend her side of the story.
Okay.
Even though she was the one who sold her out.
Oh wow. Okay.
So he goes down there and he's like, "Hey, can we talk about this inside your, apartment here?" She's like, "Sure." Goes in and realizes that she's wearing the girl's mom's bangle.
So she's a traitor.
Yes.
She's not really a friend.
So that's how he knew
So that's how he knew that.
That basically she.
So why did she even call him then if she's a traitor?
Just because otherwise he was gonna find her out at some point. I mean.
So what does she? So does he kill her? What does he do?
No. He basically tells her, you know what, we're going to the club.
Yeah.
And you point out which person took her. So
where are they? This is America right now.
No, this is Mexico. He goes down to Mexico. He lives in America.
Oh, but he
goes down to Mexico
with her friend.
Exactly.
In Mexico.
As soon as he found out that she was missing.
Part of it. Okay. Yeah. So she takes him to the club where she went missing.
She points out who it is.
Okay.
He goes. He does some damage on that guy.
Okay.
While also saying that he wants to find out where she's at. So the guy takes him over there. He knocks the guy out. Okay. He goes. He's about ready to go to the place.
Yeah.
All these guys start whistling and doing all these calls. They're calling each other.
Okay.
All of a sudden, he's got a whole gang around him. And
okay, so this is where the action picks up. These guys are traffickers.
He gets beaten almost to death.
Okay. And then he sets a trap for them, right? That's what I see.
Almost. It's much sadder than that, actually. So.
Okay.
He ends up getting.
So, what do you recommend this movie? Like, you had a good compare this to the last action movie you saw, which was the Gerald Butler one, Angel Has Fallen.
That one is hard to beat. As I said, that one still ranks, in my opinion, as the top action movie of the year.
Okay. So this is a good movie.
This is a good movie.
Even though the critics and a lot of people are not liking it, you actually ended up enjoying it. You would say
absolutely.
So who's this movie for? Like people that are fans of Rambo, people that are fans of action movies, like who is this for?
All of the above.
All of the above? Okay.
Yes.
So if you like really like men on steroids busting through walls and having machine guns and killing people and then fighting bad guys, this is your movie. So would you say see it in theaters, wait for it to be on DVD, streaming?
Since I'm more of an action guy, I would definitely see it in theaters because some of those, once again, the cinematography on it was much better than previous ones.
Okay.
So
I haven't seen the previous one, I believe you. The first one's a beautiful movie, though. See, Rambo 1 is artistic. It's not just an action movie. It's a psychological...
It's quite a bit of a drama.
Actually. Yeah, like it's like, that's why I don't like these movies. Just for Rambo's case, because the first Rambo is a story of a man who left Vietnam, who has PTSD, has psychological issues of the things he's seen of war, and he doesn't know how to become an American, how to become a resident in America. All he knows is war, and he can't escape it. And that's why I personally love the first Rambo movie, for that reason and that reason alone. Yes, there is action, because there's this really bad cop who's chasing him and things like that. But the action is not like, he's not a hero. He's just a guy who was a soldier who was part of a really bad war. The American government screwed him over. He has PTSD, and the American government and the military don't care about him, and how he tries to overcome that. And the story that's presented to you in the first Rambo is good. Now, my problem with the other Rambo movies is it's just shot-for-shot action most of the time. But I might see this movie because you're saying there's actually good cinematography and way better character development for Rambo. It's not just an action movie. So that's interesting to hear. This might be his last movie, or do you think they were going to get another one? Everybody's saying...
Here's the thing, is that he does... Well, I won't say he rides off into the sunset.
Okay.
But, so that movie ends, it seems like, with him sitting down in a chair after receiving 2 bullet wounds. One to his side and one to his shoulder.
Okay.
And it seems like he's
bleeding.
Almost, he's almost done. Well, then you wait till during like the after credits.
Oh, there's an after credit scene for this?
Not quite. Okay, so they do shots. So they do shots from all the Rambo movies.
Okay.
Leading up to this one. Just different ones, like slow-mo.
Okay.
Just little bits and pieces.
Okay.
So then you get to the point where you're in the current movie with those little snippets.
Uh-huh.
And then at the very end of that, there's another little snippet where he's on a horse riding off.
So that's new footage. That's the end of this
that is new footage, and it is at the very end of this one.
Okay. Well, that's good to know, and I'm glad you got to see it. And for those who are action fans, hope you like George's review. My questions and things like that. Asking, I don't think did you ever see the first Rambo or any of those?
I've never seen a Rambo movie.
Okay.
Have seen Weird Al do a pretty good parody of a Rambo movie in UHF.
Oh, really?
That's the extent of my knowledge.
Okay. But yeah, if you guys like that review, check out the movie for yourself, or if you just have comments or questions for George, leave them in the comment section below, and we'll get back to you. Anyways, we're gonna move on to our next review, which was Hustlers.
Yes.
So I was hyped for this movie when they first started talking about it 6 months ago when I heard J-Lo was back. And J-Lo, when they first announced that J-Lo was going to be doing some gymnastic moves, some kind of specific types of dancing, I'm going to keep it as non-spoiler as possible here. I was like, how is this like computer
50-year-old
trickery?
lady gonna do
This lady like 50. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, J-Lo in her prime can dance. She's a great dancer. She's a great gymnast. She's a great everything in her prime. You know what I'm saying? But she hasn't done that in over 10, 20 years, you know? Well, maybe not 20. Just maybe 10 years. She's become a mom. She's a housewife.
Holy crap,
she's
kill it in this
so
movie.
When I first heard that J-Lo was producing this story and movie, and that she wanted she was gonna do the moves herself. It wasn't gonna be a stunt double. It wasn't gonna be anybody like any kind of like computer and like special effects trickery or camera trickery. This is just like all out. Like when you see J-Lo on screen, that's 100% J-Lo in every scene. There's no.
I didn't know that.
So I was like, oh man, am I gonna watch J-Lo break her back on in a movie? You know, I was like, she's in her late 40s right now.
Do you remember when J-Lo was in a couple of episodes of How I Met Your Mother, like 10 years ago?
Very vaguely.
She was so good in those episodes. Did you watch that? You were probably too young for that.
I haven't watched any of How I Met Your Mother.
Oh, it's a good show.
She
killed it in that. I was like, I'd watch her on screen. That's the only thing I've ever seen her in other than this.
Right, and she was my, like I would say she was up there, and like when I was a teenager, she was like the hot pop star with the moves, that every guy like.
Don't be fooled by the rocks that she got.
Yeah, I'm still from Jenny from the Block. Oh yeah, it's like she was, she's not just a pop star. She's a real musician. She's actually a really great actress too. She's been in great movies.
Fantastic actress.
And she's talented, and you knew that from the get-go. So her going back after years of never doing anything.
Has she not done anything?
She's become a mom. She wanted to be home with her kids.
Pretty sure she did one Jason Statham movie.
She might have, but again, she hasn't been.
But
she hasn't been relevant in a very long time.
True.
Like early 2000s, we're talking here.
And she killed it in this movie.
So she, full expose. Like, okay, look, if you're somebody who can't look at nudity and you can't deal with sexual stuff, this movie might not be the movie for, because it only lasts. The first 10 to 20 minutes. The rest of the movie is drama.
Out of this movie, the first 15 minutes.
Which I'm glad you didn't, because it's a great movie. Not because of that stuff, but because of the story. So for me, personally speaking, that tone of what these girls were doing, what their life was like, how they did what they did to make money, make ends meet, who J-Lo was, and why the other girl looked up to J-Lo's character. Like, really fascinating stuff.
This was like Magic Mike for girls.
I've never seen Magic Mike, but
I haven't seen.
You mean for guys, not for girls?
No, Magic Mike was
for girls.
It was.
Okay, I meant the characters in it are girls. So
that's true. Yeah.
So
that's
Magic
true.
Mike.
I don't see a bunch of guys going, "Yeah, Magic Mike."
So when Magic Mike goes.
Some might though.
Hold on, wait. So in Magic Mike, his lifestyle, he's a stripper. I haven't seen this movie. I've read about it. He's a stripper, but it's portrayed as a bad thing throughout this whole movie, and it shows how it ruins his life. And this is kind of what happens in Hustlers, without spoiling.
Except it's a true story.
It's a true story. It's about real women. Not that long ago. This was what, 2010?
This was 2008.
2008. So like this is not that long ago. It's less than 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And these women are kind of, the economy has bottomed out, and they don't know what to do, and this is the only way that they can make money. And some of them kind of enjoy it, but then their lives start to spiral because of it.
Yeah.
It's all a true story, and then I won't go into spoilers, but they basically get involved in this big heist. And
it's fascinating.
It's very interesting because it was real and because it actually happened.
Like everything from the cops to you can read the book on this. It's called Hustlers. It was written 4 or 5 years ago from the main actress. She's Asian, but the real actress, I forgot her name.
She was great.
But she's portraying the real character who wrote the book about all these people that J-Lo read and was fascinated. It was like, this needs to be on screen, and it's up there. This is probably. I'm really shocked how much I ended up really enjoying this movie.
I am too. I liked it a lot. You saw it, right, George? What did you think of it?
Yeah, it was really quite interesting. It did a very good job of portraying just how much the economy affected people in that profession.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just how miserable it was at that point.
Right.
It does not glamorize it or make it look fun. It makes it look like a pretty bad situation.
There are parts where it's like they're having fun, but it's
There's parts where they're having fun together, but once the men come into the picture and are objectifying them, I don't think they showed any of that as fun, except for the one guest star that we won't mention.
And speaking of that, okay, so let's just give I would say go see this in theaters. Definitely watch it on streaming. Go see it. What about you guys?
If you have a high tolerance for nudity, you can see it in theaters.
I would agree.
Okay, so we all suggest if you can handle it, it's a good story. You'll really appreciate it. If you don't want to see it and you want to fast forward it, wait for the streaming.
Just go
fast
20 minutes in, and then you'll.
I mean, we're not gonna put a time on it for you. You just fast forward what you think is appropriate for you or your spouse or adult person.
Play it with
Don't
clear
watch
play.
this for kids. Maybe teenagers, but not kids.
Nah, I wouldn't even say teenagers.
16, 17 could handle it.
Adults only.
Yeah.
You could put it on through like one of those Clear Play or VidAngel or something.
Yeah.
And then you could get a pretty good story out of it if you just cut out a few scenes.
Okay, so so now we're going to our spoilers review. When we are done with the spoilers review, if you're on Facebook Live and you're like, I don't want to hear spoilers on this, this is us giving you a thumbs up. Everybody put the thumbs up. That's us saying, well, Stan, your thumb's not in the video. There you go. Your thumb is now in the video. So when we give you a thumbs up and you put it on mute, you know that we're done with spoilers. So this is your spoiler warning, and we're going to start in 3, 2, 1. Spoilers. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, this movie was great. It was so good. This was like The Big Short.
All right, now I just want to say J-Lo on that pole doing what she does.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Like,
she has to have had many plastic surgeries.
No, she actually doesn't.
She had to.
No,
She's
she doesn't.
50 years old.
That's the thing. You know, with celebrities, they're very honest.
A better body than all the gymnasts that I work out with who are like 17.
Yeah, but they have $1 million dietitians.
This is true.
That is true.
You know, I'd rather.
And she's someone who I'm sure actually sticks to her diet.
Yeah.
Probably.
Unlike a lot of other actresses or actors.
There are some actors who are today are in their 50s, but they don't look 50. Keanu Reeves.
Jennifer Aniston.
Jennifer
Ellen
Aniston.
DeGeneres.
I don't really like her.
Ellen DeGeneres.
Ellen, yeah, sure. Yeah, actually, Ellen looks. She's
Jennifer Aniston looks 20.
Sure. She looks 50 to me.
Kristen Bell does not age.
But I was gonna say Tom Cruise, Keanu Reeves, Brad Pitt, Will Smith. He's 50 still, and it's like I'm about to go see Gemini Man. You know,
so exciting.
So these guys don't do plastic surgery. These guys
they
just.
Do, Fahad.
Some of them do, yes, but they're very honest when it comes to, like, Tom Cruise is like, I don't do plastic. I just eat really healthy, and I work out like 4 hours a day to make sure my body, and you know.
That's true. You can actually.
If you eat like all greens, and
I do. I eat the healthiest diet of anyone I've ever met.
Then you're gonna age much better than compared to others.
I still look 20.
And this is why I look. I don't know what I look.
Anyways,
so the point is,
Hustlers was a great movie.
Yeah, and you know she's still got it. She's still Jenny from the block. She's her
You're
role.
Gonna want to be her.
Every time Jennifer Lopez was on the screen, I was more interested than the movie. Movie, when she was off screen, I was still interested, but not as much.
There's a scene in this where her protege, this little Asian girl, I can't remember her name right now, is like watching J-Lo give a demonstration for pole dancing,
right?
And her eyes become like saucers, and she's super impressed at how well J-Lo's doing.
Yeah.
And that's like channeling the audience, because the audience is doing the same thing. They're like, how is she this good at what she's doing at that age?
Right,
it's incredible.
Right. Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I think the biggest thing about this movie was the detail in the story. How it went from I'm watching these guys who are horrible men. Like, I went to business, finance, marketing school. I met those guys. I didn't live with those guys, but I was around those guys in classrooms.
Yeah.
And, their whole thing was they were sexist. They were sexist to the T. They used women. I'm sure they went to many strip clubs and did many, many things that drugs, alcohol, all kinds of stuff. And their only reason to be who they were, and as you see the climate change for our economy and the recession in 2008, they were lying to many people, including their family members, including the people they were manipulating to get the money, and all the horrible things that happened, real estate and the mortgages and the credit.
Yeah, this would make an excellent double feature with
Get Short. No, not Get Short. The Big Short.
The Big Short.
Yeah.
Yeah, this would make a great double feature.
And so watching these movies, watching these men get what they deserve, I don't feel bad for them.
Except for that one
guy, Doug,
who was trying to take care of his family.
I only remember one name in the movie. It was Doug.
But all those other men, no, you don't feel bad for them.
Doug,
they know what they're getting into.
And the Asian girl even says, "It's like this is not okay." She's like, "Well, if we don't do it, somebody else will." She's like, "No, this guy didn't do anything wrong."
Right.
And you feel that. And
what they did was absolutely wrong. However, you don't really feel compassion or empathy for these men because you've seen what they already went and did to the women.
Right.
And the women are doing the same thing right back to
them.
What did you expect was going to happen?
And the last line of J-Lo, it's like, you think we're the criminals? It's like everybody's a hustler today in America. If you're not hustling for something, all you see is me and my body and the girls at strip clubs. But these men have been hustling Americans. And I remember walking out of the theater with that line and just being like, wow, that is real. That is too real.
I don't believe that the vast majority of men act that way, but I think that part of the country and where they were at in that city at that time period, that's probably the majority of men that they interacted with were like that.
Right. And unfortunately, the men who are America's biggest millionaires, billionaires, etc., whether it's politician or business or unless Amazon, Apple, whatever, these guys are narcissistic. They will lie through their teeth to get what they want. It's all about the deal. I mean, our president does a really good job of. He's lied to many people. The president of the United States.
Let's not get into politics.
I'm not going into politics. These are just facts. These guys are who they are, and the way.
That's why.
The way this movie,
yeah, just
the way
people how to do it right.
The way this movie portrays that world is 100% correct, and it is a fascinating story of watching these men and women and what they do and how person goes. Like, let's say you had a daughter. Like, I really felt for the Asian girl because she was like,
Lily was her whole world.
Right.
The daughter.
And even like the part where J-Lo's like, I taught you so much. Why would you take the deal? Why would you betray me? And she goes, for Lily. And then J-Lo just like, not J-Lo, but her character J-Lo that she's playing is like, backs off. She's like, right.
There was something, what was it? She said something, not like, it was motherhood is
a mental illness. It's a line that they say a couple times.
Yeah.
Because they do crazy things for their daughters.
Right.
And it's one of those things, you do anything for your kid.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%. And I think that's the most fascinating thing about this movie is, you don't ever get to see the story of the girls in those situations. You don't.
No, you don't. I can't remember another movie like this.
And when you do hear about those girls, it's always berating them, shaming them, making them feel guilty, making them feel bad, and just horrible. Like, this is a story. Like, people don't wake up. Girls don't wake up early in the morning and go, oh yeah, I'm gonna sell my body today to, like, just
they get
be
pushed.
used.
There's a lot of people that get pushed into it against their will because
Right.
they don't want to do it.
And that's the story you're seeing here is of these girls who, from the one girl who you said was from the Archie TV show. What was it?
Oh, Riverdale. Yeah.
Riverdale, where she's like, my mom and dad learned what I was doing. They kicked me out. How am I gonna survive? And you get to see J-Lo's story of where she came from and her daughter. And she tells the Asian girl, like, we don't need a man, because men they did sleep with them, got them pregnant, and left both of them, unfortunately. And it's a sad story, but it's also kind of empowering because these women will go too lengths, and even the police officers, like they cut him a break because they're like, you know what? They could have thrown these women in jail for years, but they realized the situation these women were in, and they didn't. The judge they gave him an out, right?
So this movie could have been a real downer. The way that we're explaining it makes it sound so sad and depressing, but this movie is a total blast.
It is a blast.
It's hilarious.
It's not until after.
It's paced well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really good cameos.
Yeah.
Can we say the cameos?
Yeah, we're in spoilers.
Dude, Usher shows up in the movie.
Which I got mad about.
Lizzo is in the movie. Cardi B's in the movie.
Yeah.
Who else? There was a bunch of cameos that just like.
I don't remember all of them, but yeah, no, you're right.
But it's fun. The soundtrack was incredible.
Yeah, the soundtrack's amazing.
Yeah,
the cinematography is amazing too, and the way J-Lo narrates the movie. Isn't it J-Lo who narrates the movie?
No, it was the Asian girl.
The Asian
girl. What's her
girl.
name? Kiki. What's her name?
No, it wasn't Kiki.
What was it?
Anyway, she was great.
She was great.
Wasn't she in
She was in Crazy Rich Asians.
Crazy Rich Asians, yeah.
And she's in that TV show. What is it called? Fresh Off the Boat. It's on ABC.
Oh yeah.
She's the main character on that too. So she's
really
she's a really famous actor actually,
yeah.
all things considered. And I would say, yeah, I think we're gonna cut off our review for Hustlers here, but I think we've talked about enough to either you're convinced to go see it or you're not. And understandable on both points. But we would say it would definitely be worth your time. If you don't want to sit through the sexual stuff, wait for it to be on streaming, wait for it to be on DVD so you can fast forward it. But yeah, I'm going to give my thumbs up. Everybody give a thumbs up. We are moving past Hustlers spoiler review. Thanks for joining that. We are now in Ad Astra review. So, we did do a non-spoiler review. It is on our YouTube page. I'll also link it in the link below. So, we did a 2-minute review of Ad Astra. We'll give in case you didn't watch it and you just want to hear our thoughts, here's a quick thoughts. It's a beautiful movie. It has a lot of things to say on the matter.
It's pretty, yeah.
There's not a lot of humor. There's not a lot of action.
No.
It is all just about it's a movie. Either you're into artistic slow movies or you're not. If you are not into slow burn sci-fi, 2001: A Space Odyssey, so many others. What can I think? What else? Moon.
Breaking Bad. Some of the Breaking Bad episode. This whole thing is like the Breaking Bad episode where they're trying to catch a fly.
Okay, but that's a TV show. I want to stick to movies that are like this.
No, I'm saying slow and artistic.
Yeah, it's very slow. It's very artistic. If that's your thing, if you sat through 2001: A Space Odyssey and went, that's my jam, this is your movie. Because, I mean, 45 minutes of 2001: A Space Odyssey is just space shots and music, and barely like the first. Talking in Space Odyssey, it takes place like hour into the movie. Before that, nobody talks.
Yeah, that's why I couldn't watch it.
So for those people, I would say go see it. It's beautiful. Brad Pitt is phenomenal. The story is fascinating. What they talk about, very deep conversation. What it means to be a man. Where is the future of humanity going? Where is society going? What does the near future look like? All that stuff, really well done. I think the payoff between Brad Pitt and his father at the end completely pays off. If you like slow burn movies, that's my review. But if you don't like that, I think we can all agree, don't go see the movie.
Yeah, it was a little slow and boring for me.
Yeah. So now we're going to go into our spoiler reviews. I'll again put my thumbs up when we're done with our spoiler review for Ad Astra, in case you're on Facebook Live or watching. So, George, why don't you start us off on this one?
Okay, I have got a lot of things to say on this spoiler review. So, for starters, let me think. Rewind. The start of the movie was rather interesting. It was kind of strange. I didn't know what to make of that huge antenna. The huge antenna. And he's on this gigantic antenna that extends from Earth into space. What's up with that?
Well, they did explain it.
Sort of.
But he I was like, oh, he's gonna let go and float, and then there was gravity, and he fell from space.
Yeah. Well, I mean, technically, if you aren't at a fast enough speed, you won't, because orbit really is falling around the Earth. So, essentially, if you're just up there, you're gonna fall in.
Yeah.
But it was real. It wasn't a strange twist to it. I do have to admit.
How high is he? Because he's way.
Well, the
up
antenna.
there.
It's okay. You've read the book in the Bible. What is it called? Where they build the biggest tower to heaven.
Tower of Babel.
Tower of Babel. Remind me of
Genesis.
Tower
But
of
that was
Babel.
like 20 feet high. They didn't have very good technology back
Well,
then.
I mean, because in Tower of Babel it says it touches heaven, and that's why God. They literally figured out, for you who are Christian, like this is stupid. But
They didn't have spacesuits. They wouldn't have been able to breathe.
No, we don't know. We know that God did the civilization.
We still have the Tower of Babel. I've been to it. I visited it.
Okay. Well, anyways.
Anyway, okay, sorry.
The point is, like, you know, that's just what it reminded me. Like, you know, it went from Earth all the way to space. NASA actually is right now as we speak working on this tower right now as we speak. They're trying to make a space station that connects to space, but you can also connect it from the Earth, climb it all the way to the top like an elevator to the space station. And there's going to be astronauts who live on it, who are going to be able to take the elevator, and people who are going to be able to take this elevator from the ground. Yeah, they're trying to do that. So a lot of the things that the movie speaks on, moon base, Mars base, all these things in the movie, very fascinating stuff because that is their, I mean, Elon Musk is working on that right now, you know? So, you know, it was weird to see a moon base, but then see...
right, this movie was in the future. I forgot about that part.
Yeah, this movie is definitely in the future.
I forgot all about that.
There's a base on the moon. It looks really cool. I mean, they have like Applebee's and like a mall, but people actually live there, and they also lived on Mars. And you know, like all of this stuff. It's really fascinating stuff about where humanity is going. It asks really interesting questions that I love science. I love the idea. I want us to be able to have a moon base. I want us to even be on Mars. Why not? Like, you know, the less population on Earth, the better as far as I'm concerned. Let's save the planet. Go live on Mars. Go live in a space station for all I care.
Okay, you first.
The next big thing I had was how they portrayed, like, if you notice, there's that scene with the rovers, right? The moon rovers.
Oh, yeah.
And he ends up, like, they end up getting attacked by these bandits or whatever. Pirates.
From another nationality on the base, yeah.
And so something I realized is that it was almost like at that point in time, he was almost like thinking to himself, wow, are we worth this much that these other guys are dying here just to get us to a rocket?
Right.
Like, he's like, it's like you can almost see in like his facial expression. His expressions were so much in this film. It was Brad Pitt's acting is amazing.
He's phenomenal.
He is.
He really is. Like, this is Brad Pitt's year. I
is.
think he's gonna get nominated for an Oscar for this movie and for
Hollywood.
Once Upon a Time. I think both. He's getting a supporting acting role for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and he's gonna get Best Actor nomination for this movie. If you're, there's some movies that you see where you're like, this entire movie lands on this one actor or actress's shoulder.
Oh,
and
yeah,
that is this movie.
This one was definitely.
I loved all the moments where he had to talk to, like, kind of like, hey, how am I feeling? How I'm doing? What it means to be like on this mission? How I feel about it? All those scenes were really fascinating to me because he was like, you know, like he was talking about how, you know, from the moment he's like, am I just like my dad? And my dad is just like, I don't know how, I'm closed off. I feel empty. I just want to talk to my wife, ex-wife, I think, at this point. Liv Taylor, she's in this. She's awesome also. She has a few scenes, but she's
in this?
That was Liv Taylor, her wife.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or ex-wife or ex-girlfriend. I don't even know. They didn't really explain
She
it.
was in
Lord of the Rings,
yes.
Fellowship of the Ring.
Okay,
She's been in a lot of movies. She's pretty famous.
Yeah.
You know, like those scenes were so powerful. Him freaking out on Mars because he knew that they were hiding something from him. Like where he learns that, you know, his dad is still alive and they want him to go back to Earth, and he's just like, you're going on this mission, and he wanted to go see his dad. He wanted to, and they were hiding, but the girl, the lady who lives on Mars, she helps him get out of the base and get on the rocket ship. All that stuff was really fascinating. Like, he felt like the tear that just comes out. He's like, I didn't want you to come here. I never loved you or your mom. Tommy Lee Jones hasn't seen Brad Pitt in like 20, 30 years, and the first thing he says is, I never loved you or your mom.
Yeah,
I came here to die.
I
and
thought he was like hallucinating.
Boom!
Or I thought he was hallucinating or something, and then nope, he was not.
He was not. And he was trying so hard to get his dad to get back on the ship with him, to go back, and he's like, let me go. I don't want to go to Earth. I want to die out here. So he just finds Brad Pitt.
Crazy.
Brad Pitt's like, I can't, like, because that, whatever that antimatter machine was, it was messing with Earth, it was messing with Mars, it was like, he's like, I have to pick the mission.
I don't remember if it messed with the moon or not. They didn't show whether.
I didn't either, but I do. They did say Mars was definitely being affected. Earth was definitely being affected. So he's like, he had to make that choice. He had to go and let his dad go, which must have been so difficult, and go back to the ship, blow up the antimatter device, whatever that was, and then go back to Earth that way. But he comes back home, and the last thing Brad Pitt says is like, I'm not going to be closed off. The sins of the father do not pass to the son. I'm going to trust the people that are around me. I'm going to receive love, and I will give love back to what it means to be human, to be open. That was an amazing, like, a lot of the, yes, I know it's a very slow movie, but when it does talk about these deep issues, deep things, like what it means to be a man, what it means to be a military man, and father-son issues, it was good. I would say, absolutely, if you like that stuff, if you love deep psychological, like, type of movies, you should go see this movie. Thought-provoking. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah. Like, psychological didn't sound
I loved Interstellar, but this one...
See, I didn't like Interstellar.
Really?
Was much more so...
action.
There was a lot more action to it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But it wasn't also as very thought-provoking.
That's true.
Yeah.
In a way, but it wasn't quite as real as this one either.
Yeah.
This one was extremely real.
I can at least make this believable enough.
Yeah. This one is based in reality.
Well, Interstellar was
close enough, at least.
Yeah, like Interstellar just went a little too. Not that it wasn't good. I do like Interstellar. I just think that it's like you said. It goes too much into a place where I can't imagine this in the future. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But you're also right. It is a thought-provoking movie in some ways. I do love Matt Damon in Interstellar popping out of nowhere.
You see The Martian?
I love The Martian.
Now
awesome. That's a movie I'd compare it to, because Martian is slow. It's all Matt Damon.
It's very slow.
Trying to survive on Mars.
Yeah.
Boom. That's a great example.
Yeah.
Or Sandra Bullock in space and nobody else. Gravity. I mean, besides me throwing up.
A lot more.
Oh my gosh, I saw it in 3D. Oh my gosh, I can still feel it. I will never watch.
I saw Gravity in 3D.
And you didn't throw up?
No, but it was like
oh.
I was like this the entire
Just
time.
thinking about it.
I saw it with my friend in Disney World, and I was like on the edge of my seat. It was like really being in space.
See, the scenes weren't insane. It was how the camera moved, like, just caused me to get like seasickness just watching it.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I would say Brad Pitt, great role. What are we gonna say?
I did have 3 more things.
You have 3 more things?
There are 3 more things.
Oh my gosh, you thought about more
than I'm going to see if we have any comments.
Okay.
So there were a lot of other things as well. Okay, one of the other things is, think about all those psychological evaluations he went through. Now, is that something that we, as a civilization, might actually do in the future to make sure that we don't have people who are unbalanced going out into the world?
I don't know if the word is unbalanced, more like if you're in deep space by yourself and you're traveling at that speed, that far ahead, just imagine being all alone in space.
That's true.
Heading to.
But remember, he was stuck in that room. He couldn't even leave that room until he calmed down, which I'm wondering, is that actually something that, think about it, that could prevent a lot of things from happening nowadays.
Oh, you mean like violence?
Yeah, violence.
The school shootings and things like that?
Violence, yeah.
Wow, you're going to another level with this movie.
I'm serious about this. This inspired a lot of stuff. Like,
no, it is
thought-provoking.
It's not a movie that at first hits you when you get out, but when you keep thinking about it, I agree with you. I probably thought about this movie more after we saw it than any other movie I've seen all year. Yeah. Yes. No, I agree with you. I think the message of, you're being psychologically tested, where your mental state, emotional state is at. Then you're in this room and you're told to calm down, get your heart rate down, get your things down at a good level. And if you're not at that level, you are told to stay in the room, like you said.
Yeah.
That's fascinating stuff. Yeah, I agree. I don't know if... I mean, it sounds like they only do that for the military, though. They're not really doing this for, like, the public or anything. But it is interesting. I agree.
And then the second thing, okay. So the second thing I was thinking about was just how important, like, Brad Pitt, in a way, kind of shows how important it is to sort of sit down and reevaluate what your priorities are.
Yes,
that's huge.
That is huge.
He ends up showing that how once he reaches his dad, he gets all the data about all of these planets, it's like he comes back and he's like, okay, that's it. It's out of my hands. I need to. I think that's the point where he starts to really open up. He's like, you know what? It's not going to help me if I don't open up and become a part of humanity.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's true.
When he looks at what his dad did, his dad saw all these things, all these planets, and he didn't reevaluate. He was just looking for the same thing the whole time.
That was like the best line in the whole movie.
Yeah.
When he goes, my dad saw all these planets, but there's nothing down there but dust and rocks.
But he can't see.
And
he can't see humanity or the people around him.
No, he can't see. There's no love on the planets.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And then the third thing, the monkeys. I got it.
Dude, the monkeys.
No, not monkeys.
Baboons. Yes.
Get it right.
Angry baboons. So that was crazy.
They came out of nowhere.
I did have a slight issue with some of these things. The main fact that they didn't seem to have decompression chambers like they would normally have. So that was one thing that bothered me a bit.
Yeah.
Because there should have been some more decompression.
Let's get more details on that because I was confused too. So I looked online. It said these baboons were taken into space and they were being experimented on. They didn't just escape. They were super strength crazy baboons. Those were there was an experiment gone wrong moment, and the only way, like even when Brad Pitt, if you saw him close the hatch, it still can try to break through.
Yeah.
So these aren't regular baboons. These were baboons that were experimented on that went crazy and killed everyone on the experimental team. Like they tried to save them, but there was no hope, and the only thing left to do was to close it off, kill them off, and then just leave them in space. So.
Yeah, I sent you guys that meme somebody posted. I just saw a movie with angry exploding monkeys in it, and it was not the movie you would have expected to see angry exploding monkeys.
But in the moment it makes, I mean, like it doesn't, you're like, what is this? But then it does make sense. If you're going to have a team of scientists who are doing experiments, trying to get into really crazy stuff, you probably don't want them to be on Earth doing these experiments.
That's true.
Right.
Because let's say these baboons escape and start having sex and more of these baboons start, like Planet of the Apes is gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Like
maybe that was an interesting, like a little sort of not a sneak peek, but a little teaser about that or something, like an Easter egg kind of about Planet of the Apes.
They're both 20th Century Fox, and they're owned by both the same company. Somebody made this comment. It's like, well, Planet of the Apes is owned by 20th Century Fox. 20th Century Fox made Ad Astra.
Hey, maybe their next movie. Maybe their next movie is gonna be Planet of the Apes in space.
I mean, you never know.
Could be
interesting. I don't think it's gonna happen, but I think it's fascinating. I do think like everything the movie showed from like even where he's hallucinating, trying to get to Neptune, or was it Jupiter? I think he passed Jupiter.
Once he passed Jupiter, he was on his way to Neptune.
But that's the point where he just started hallucinating like crazy. I thought that was really interesting stuff.
Oh, and we didn't even mention how he ends up committing the same crime that he finds out his father committed.
Well, his father murdered people. He was just trying to like join them, and they all just died by accident.
Yeah, they kind of died by accident.
They all kind of died on their own. Like,
but at the same time, you can imagine he was thinking.
He thinking that
he felt like he did the same thing as his dad was accused of.
Exactly.
Right.
And then he says the sins of the father become the sins of the son in the movie.
Yeah. Right. It's like he's like, well, I don't know what's going to happen to me when I leave for Earth, but since he did destroy the antimatter machine, I guess the space program, the military had grace for him, and they probably just kept him as a hero instead of like imprisoning him or charging him with the crimes. Because at the end of the day, he stopped the antimatter from destroying the solar system, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
not
'Cause
to
whatever
mention
that thing
he brought
was-
back a huge database.
Right. Because it was, yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah. All right. I think we can stop there.
All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us on Facebook Live, and also we'll be on YouTube in a day or two. Remember to go
probably
visit
a day or
us
two,
on
yeah.
patreon.com/GeekdomMovies and
Yeah.
drop a couple bucks our way.
Yeah. And we have a lot of more movies coming up. I know it's getting. What's coming out next week? We looked into it, didn't we?
I thought so.
Something's coming out. Something's coming out every week now.
Yeah, we're
But
gonna
it's gonna
have some
be-
good ones to talk about.
Okay, so the other thing is we're gonna do a Halloween favorite Halloween. So we're gonna do a Geekdom Movies episode, like favorite Halloween movies, like top 3, top 5, and then we'll do that too before the last week of
Yeah.
Halloween or something, maybe.
Okay.
Just trying to think what we could do.
So it looks like we have Abominable coming out next weekend.
That's all Shannon.
I don't want to see it.
Oh, but it looks somewhat interesting.
It's like the 4th Yeti themed movie to come out this year.
Okay, what else
I
we
think
got?
there was, well, that looks like that's really the
Smallfoot.
main thing.
Oh no,
for,
that's terrible.
Isn't
Go
Ford
to the
versus
list. I'll
Ferrari
give you a
coming
list
out?
of all the movies that are
Oh,
coming
you're
out.
right. You're right. Hang on. My
Why do you
bad.
think I made it? So we don't have to keep checking every week.
All right. So
If we can get to it.
Ford versus Ferrari. I think Current War comes out pretty soon.
Well, I'm just trying to focus on next week.
Yeah. Sorry, I took my vacation since then. Pretty sure. Whoops. Here we go.
So we're October 23rd. What's the next one? 27th?
27th. So
Okay, so we have
The
the report, which looks really good, and we got Judy Garland movie with
Judy
Renee Zellweger.
Garland, yes.
So both movies, all three of us are gonna see because they're two very big movies.
Yeah.
now, what is Lucy in the Sky? Because I see that's coming up in a couple weeks. Here.
Did I add it to the
Is
list?
that a
Yes.
Beatles movie?
What is it?
Yeah, I would believe it would be.
What day? What day
Lucy
does
in
it come
the
out?
Sky.
It's
That's
either
October 4th.
Beatles
Just
or
Google it right now.
LSD.
Just press
Joker.
Google Lucy in the Sky. Is that the
Well,
Natalie
that will
Portman
most
one?
likely just come out with.
No. I
the,
think that's the Natalie Portman one that's getting big reviews, big ratings right now. Actually.
Is it about
Is it
LSD or the Beatles?
Good
No.
question.
It's a Natalie.
Lucy in the Sky.
Yeah, the Natalie Portman movie.
Oh, no, that actually looks really sweet.
Where she tries to
Outer
be an
space.
astronaut.
Oh,
Wow.
okay.
That's on the list of movies to watch. A lot of these movies that are coming out, unfortunately, are going to be either really slow, dramatic movies, or I don't think we're getting big movies until November. Well, the Joker looks like
The
never mind.
Joker
The Joker's
is
coming
gonna
out
be
October
good.
4th.
But
Which all three of us are going to watch.
I feel like that one's going to be a little bit more of a drama in certain ways than you would expect.
Yeah.
It's going to be an extreme psychological movie, as
Yeah.
far as I can tell.
Oh, 100%. I don't
I'm
think it's
so
going to be better than
excited
Heath
about that.
Ledger's Dark Knight, but we will see what happens. with
I
Joaquin
feel like it'll
Phoenix.
stand its own, you know.
If it does, it does. But, I mean, yeah, there's not much to say. Anyways, so we're going to see the report next week, and we're going to see the Judy Garland movie. All three of us will be doing the reviews, so look for that this weekend, next week. Have a great week, you guys. Enjoy the movies, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.